Okay, well, every blessing to you all, and welcome back to our end of year video. This is our 7th annual video, 2013.
Is it 7 years?
7 years.
Really?
7 good years.
7 good years.
As always, we try to do these end of year videos to share our thoughts with you all. And another year's gone, 2013.
Wow.
What's been the highlight of this year for you?
I don't know about a highlight. I think one of the most depressing and obnoxious and blasphemous things was the death of prisoner 46664. You know who I'm referring to.
Count those sixes.
Count those sixes. 3 6s in the middle.
Yeah.
I think some of the tributes were way over the top. And I mean, so I've got one here. The man who charmed the world. And there are many like that too. He saved the planet. And you saw some references, didn't you, to the Lord Jesus?
Yeah, a lot of religious leaders are saying that he was just as good as Jesus Christ.
Shocking.
Can you imagine that? And to the best of my knowledge, none of the top dogs, none of the top cardinals, bishops, priests around the world rebuked that audacious and blasphemous claim.
No contradiction.
No, awful.
And I also noticed in my notes here that when he died, there were 7 million Twitters. Now, you just imagine what's going to be like when the Antichrist comes.
Yeah.
And does some of his little tricks. You know, 7 million Twitters, you'll have 14 million Twitters. So I think it's the way that things are sloping up. Interesting, in the last few days before he died, a priest was called for. Send for the priest, somebody said. I don't know what religion, I don't know denomination, but a priest was sent for. And he arrived, apparently, sat round the bedside of the dying man, who was unconscious anyway, and the elders are out in the garden chanting and calling upon the spirits above to take him there. And of course,
from the next ancestors.
From the ancestors, that's right. And the next day it poured with rain, and the rain gods apparently welcomed him there. So you've got a lot of tribalism, a lot of voodooism, you've got false religions called in with the priests and so forth, all very over the top. And I see something like 20,000 people complain to one of our broadcasting companies. Absolutely over the top.
Well, you had a multi-faith service there. You had a rabbi, you had a Anglican priest.
Witch doctor? Maybe.
I didn't see him, but he may have been there. And yet the bizarre aspect of all of this is, once again, an atheist wants a Christian funeral. Why do unsaved people want to have a Christian funeral? If you're not born again people, you're wasting your time.
Absolutely, but I thought that was amazing, but it's all past now. And I think watching the family mourn there, I caught his second wife, a picture of his second wife there, and I remembered around about 10-15 years ago, when at the height of the Troubles, when there were some terrible things happening from the ANC to other people in, I think, Chief Buthelezzi's party, she said almost with glee, with our boxes of matches and our necklaces, we shall liberate this country. And those necklaces, of course, rubber tyres.
Shocking.
Which they put round you and slowly burnt you to death. Terrible. Yes. Thousands died like that.
And his first wife, we believe he divorced because she became religious, quote unquote. I'm not sure if she was born again. I know nothing about her conversion to whatever denomination she was, but he was an atheistic, an atheist Marxist. And again, why do these atheists want to have Christian funerals? But he divorced his first wife, he married a second wife, he married a third wife, so he is an adulterer, which is hugely problematical. And I'll say one other thing, if I may also, you know, had he got born again when he was in jail and come out and was preaching the true gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, had he been pro the family and anti-abortion, they would have kicked him to the ground. But the world love their own, you know, the world unto you and the world speak well of you. And from the death of prisoner 46664, we go back to February, when Pope Benedict XVI announced his shock resignation.
What a shock. You phoned me up, didn't you?
I phoned you up.
And I said, the man's gone. I said, what man? And you told me then.
I said, the man's gone. He's hit the bricks, he's vanished. And within 2 months, his replacement was announced. A little unknown man from Argentina, a Jesuit.
Baglia, yeah.
And he calls himself Francis I. And he's been in the papers a lot recently. He said he's not a Marxist.
A lot of good works.
Always good works.
A lot of good works happening here.
If you take the works away, these churches collapse.
That's right.
But what do you think about this statement? I'm not a Marxist.
I'm not a Marxist, he said. But I've known some good Marxists, and the Bible tells me none are good, no, not one.
Yeah.
So and again, good Marxists.
And again, these Marxists are atheists.
Yeah.
Like prisoner 46664.
Yep.
Why do these atheists get so much credit?
Yeah, it's like insurance, really. They're covering themselves at all the angles here, aren't they?
Yeah, but he came along and he's now been named Man of the Year by Time magazine.
Yeah, a left-wing magazine, so I'm not really surprised, but yeah, that's interesting as well.
I mean, the world love their own, and this has always been a problem. And you've got to remember that when the Catholic Church speaks, it speaks out of both sides of its mouth. The Pope speaks to the religious world and says one thing, and he speaks to the secular world and says something else.
Yeah, I mean, all this Christians are under persecution in around the world, Pakistan and Algeria, for example. He's not talking about born-again Christians like he's talking about Roman Catholics.
Yeah, and the way we see it, the false prophet is going to come from the religious realm, whereas the Antichrist is going to come from the political realm. So the Antichrist will be Jewish, we believe, from the political realm, whereas the false prophet will come from the religious realm.
And it has to be Rome, it has to be the Catholic Church. I don't know any other leader who's got the clout or the so-called charisma this man's got.
Yeah, and again, if you look at Prisoner 46664, we keep coming back to him, but he's a good type of the Antichrist.
Yes, he is.
The world came out to worship him and remember him, and the world have come out to welcome, you know, the Pope of Rome. Again, very much types of the Antichrist. You know, if the world cannot see through the deception of these two individuals, how are they going to see through the deception of the Antichrist when he arrives, you know, during the Great Tribulation?
Well, I think all this is part of the plan, which goes back to Vatican II, which I remember very well when it started up, and by John the 23rd. But of course, he was very ill by then. But he called in Cardinal Augustin Beyer, a German cardinal, to sort of bring in Vatican II. And Beyer did very much of the paperwork and the legwork, and then handed over people like Ratzinger, who was one of the theologians at the time. And of course they succeeded. Interfaith came in, the ecumenical movement came in, all the churches came to Rome, most of them anyway. But now this Pope realised, he's a Jesuit, he's got an agenda, that he has to reach out to others who are not particularly in a religious system. Atheism, New Age, all these sort of people, showbiz, bring them all in.
Look at the recent funeral. I mean, the world and his wife gathered for that.
Yeah, that's right.
How about Vatican III for 2014 or 2015? What do you think? Is it possible?
It's certainly on the cards. They're certainly planning this Vatican III. And now we originally told there was going to be a woman who was going to be made a cardinal. Now I noticed that he gave an interview to La Stampa, which is a left-wing Italian newspaper, in which he said there aren't going to be any women named cardinals. So either the spin doctor got that wrong, he's thought that over. But I think there will be a Vatican III. I'm not sure it'll be this man. He's what, 74, 75?
He could set the framework for
As
it.
John the 23rd
As John the 23rd
John
did.
the 23rd, he said, I'm going to open the windows, with the famous words, open the windows and let people come in. And I think within a week, Nikita Khrushchev, who was the premier of Russia then, his son, Alexei, visited the Vatican. They had long talks with the Pope, so obviously there was something happening there. And then of course suddenly overnight, these encyclicals came out, Pacem in Terris, Peace on Earth, and then Paul VI put that one, Popular and Progressio, which was wrong to own private property. Very Marxist in approach, you know, banks should be doing this, looking after the poor, which this Pope is saying now, you know.
And yet the Catholic Church own half of Israel.
Yeah,
and half of the world.
Half of the world. They've got some of the biggest banks, and we just don't know what they've got. I mean, they're unaccounted for.
Yeah. So some opening thoughts, really, I guess, to end your video. You know, the same old characters come and go.
Same old gang,
Same old gang, but the doctrine remains. So watch out for the Pope. I say he's going to represent the false prophet.
He's going to Israel, didn't you say?
He's going to Israel next year, and the Antichrist is going to represent the political realm.
Yeah.
Two Babylons. You know,
but he has to get all this. Sorry to butt in. He has to get all this ready, the false prophet, to hand all this over to the Antichrist who's coming. Say, here's everything for you. You know, all the churches, they're all under my command. And then the Antichrist says, fine. And what does he do?
Destroys them. The daughters of the harlot.
Yeah, daughters of the harlot.
You know, and it's pretty endemic. I mean, in this country, nearly all of the churches are ecumenical now. You know, it's a problem, not just in this country, but around the world.
Well, she is called the whore of Rome. It has been really since Luther's time. And it is crude, but the whore will welcome all into her bed, as whores will. And of course, she's got half of them there. She needs to get the rest of the world out there.
So highlights of 2013. You've been busy writing. Been busy recording.
You've been doing a lot of your discs. Come to your discs in a minute. I started a project on Anne Frank because it was the anniversary, and the more I read into it, the more I looked at it, came to the conclusion, as other people did as well, that little Anne Frank did not write all of the diary. It looks very much it was taken over by her father Otto, who was in Holland at the time of the occupation, and I'm sure she did keep a diary of her thoughts. She was a young girl, of course, but it looks like a lot of hands did get involved in that, and by the time it was published, 1947-48, they've been through about half a dozen rewrites and a lot of parts added there. So that was a lot of deception, really, that Anne didn't write this. And also, as I found out, that Otto was surviving as a businessman in German-controlled Holland at the time. So he looks like he was collaborating, but he was held up as a great man. Otto Frank, you know, wherever he went, Little Anne Frank did that. Did Nurse Edith Cavell, remarkable lady, and Lady Diana.
Lady Diana.
Was she murdered? Wasn't she murdered? This will go on like Who Killed Kennedy and all those other things. And I see the Metropolitan Police in London say they've looked into it and that the SAS, as far as they can see, were not involved. But the rumours will still circulate.
They will. We've been very busy with street work. I think it's fair to say we've done more outreach in the last few months than we have done in the last few years. Our very dear friends from Singapore returned to work with us.
Yes.
And Brother Martin came up and worked with us as well.
Good to see him. Yeah.
How many tracks do we distribute?
Well, I think about 2,500. That's
Wow.
approximate. But we did 8 towns. Our distinctive banner was held up. It was seen by people on the buses and trains and cars. I watched them watching it. You know,
Yeah.
you can't miss it. And we did that. And I'm hoping next year when we do this summer outreach, and perhaps some more people will come and join us, we might even do 5,000 tracks.
And we gave out about 90 DVDs.
90 DVDs. Yeah. Brother Trevor gave us some, and a lot of yours are handed out as well. Very wet day in Leeds, I remember, but they all went. And people took them. It's one way of getting the word out. Well, I mean, we'll never really know how it changes people's life, whether they repent or not. But you can only hope that it will do, and that with the grace of God we'll see that it happens.
Many conversations.
Many conversations.
And from that we go to ETC Radio, End Times Coming Radio. A plan from both of us for about 18 months ago, which came a reality October the 1st this year. And it's been absolutely brilliant. We go out now 7 days a week on 2 shortwave radio stations, and we go out weekends on 3 AM radio stations.
In the United States, that's right, yes. So we're going out on 5 stations. What started off as a dream, really, just to go out on 1 station and on 5. And it's all possible to you, our dear listeners out there, who heard us, heard our appeals. Would you like to stand with us? Send a donation of any denomination, any donation, in which you did.
It's been a blessing. I mean, in July I started doing Proverbs. I went from Proverbs to, excuse me, Radio Genesis. And from Radio Genesis into Radio Romans. Been a very busy few months, and Romans is such a deep book.
Controversial,
but an absolute masterpiece. And the Lord carried me through those chapters, and it was such a blessing to do. And what can we say? You know, we're very blessed. We're very
all on
thankful.
DVD, aren't they? So people.
Genesis is on DVD. Romans is going to be on DVD very soon, or maybe early next year. And at the moment, we've got about 6 to 8 DVDs of my verse-by-verse Bible studies. So if you want a copy, drop us a line and we'll get them out to you.
And Brother Mark did a marvellous production job, didn't he?
He's
actually, as you're talking, he's filmed the actual verse
text,
and there's some background as well.
Yeah, and that Bible that he's filming is over 180 years old. So
you can see some of the rust marks on it, I think. Yeah.
So what a busy year, what a blessed year. We got a lot of plans. We've got a lot of plans for 2014. Do you want to touch on those briefly?
We've had the idea. It's just in the embryonic stage at the moment that people may want to come and visit England to look at some of the sites, to perhaps work with us, to meet with us, that perhaps we might be able to help them with their itinerary of when they're coming, where they're coming, and be able to cost it for them and try and work out something for them. So if you've got any ideas that you would like to come over next year with your wife or your husband or your family, or someone, some friends or something like, let us know. We can tell you where we are. We can tell you what we can offer you and how we can help with accommodation and transportation and everything like that. We'll try and cost it up for you. It's a new idea of ours. If the Lord wants it to happen, it will, and if it doesn't, it won't happen. But I know a lot of people are going to try to get to Europe next year, and of course so many people who came from England, second or third generation from England.
Now live in America or
Canada,
or Australasia.
Australasia, yeah.
I mean, we're living the last days, and it's good to spend time together in these times that we have.
That's right.
And we're very blessed to hear from people in America, Canada, Australia, Spain, even China, Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's right.
Parts of Europe, as I say, Argentina.
Vatican.
We
haven't heard from them.
Not quite the Vatican, but we've heard from people all around the world
Russia,
that have contacted us.
We had Russia as well.
Yeah, so if you want to come and see us next year, let us know. We'll see what we can do. Where there's a will, there's a way, and it'd be good to meet many of you. We hear from you, but we don't get a chance to meet with you. So maybe, possibly, Lord willing, that'll be a plan for 2014.
That's right, and I think most of your Bible studies, which are very, very good, and I don't just say that, but I think they are, and other people agree with me, come study with me. really, I suppose we could look at it, come travel with us.
Come
if you
travel
want
with
to
us.
come to here.
Or come visit us.
Or come visit and come travel with us to England, see some of those parts of England that you've heard about, or maybe your family came from them 200 or 300 years ago, or maybe just want to see what is happening in England. So I'd like to get some feedback on that.
And even also people who come to the UK, we could even, you know, maybe show you around Scotland, London, Wales. Parts of Europe. I mean, we're not technically in Europe. We are English. We're not European.
No.
But if you want to come to the UK and you wanted to maybe go to, I don't know, France or
Certainly
Spain
France
or Italy,
or Belgium or Germany, yes, we could do that.
it's only a couple of hours on a plane.
It's a bit difficult as you go south to Spain and Portugal. It's a bit further, but we could certainly do northern Europe. Yeah.
But let us know what plans you've got for next year. But above all, keep us in prayer.
Yeah.
It's been a blessed 2013. Again, this is the 7th video that we've done, end of year video. The years fly by. And I see a greater deception coming in the next 12 months. But, you know, keep looking up, because people are getting saved. People are contacting us. People read our Bible tracts. They read they come across our website. They see us on YouTube. In fact, I think last count we've had nearly 3 million views on YouTube alone.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is incredible, really. I mean, a couple of guys started back in 2007. You know, and the Lord is still blessing us and still allowing us to grow, you know, and develop and do what we do through newsletters, videos.
I mean, I would just say that we are still able in this country of England, this beautiful country of ours, to go out on the streets, give tracts out to talk to people. We haven't been prevented yet, and we're still able to put tracts through letterboxes, which we did last week. Now, I know in a lot of your countries, the people let us know, we're not allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do that, what you're doing, the police say, they say it's hate and all this sort of thing, but we give thanks that we're still able to do it. How much longer, I don't know. But gradually the screw is tightening anyway, the New World Order.
Well, we will continue to do what we can do. Most of this country is now ecumenical, interfaith. What Patrick and I do is incredibly rare. But, you know, two men, we can do a lot, and we will continue to push on.
But I always imagine thousands of you behind us, you know, out there in they're watching, or thousands of you standing behind us with your prayer, cyberspace and everything. That's wonderful. And thank the Lord for it all.
Keep us in prayer. So 2013 been and gone. What are your plans for next year? Have you got anything particularly in mind you want to? Any
Not
articles
really.
you're working on?
No. Yeah. Well, I'm just finishing Putin. Now, he was named, funnily enough, by an American magazine as the Emperor of the World, and I resented that title, Emperor of the World. He's not my emperor. You know, God's the emperor of this world. God controls this world. So I've done an article on Putin and my theory that when the tribulation comes, that I don't think he'll be leading the Russian Federation against Israel. Doing that one, they're going to start next on Edward VIII. There we are. There's American visitors who are watching this. Mrs. Simpson from Baltimore. That rocked the establishment. So that's the next project which I'm researching at the moment. Edward VIII. Was he a Nazi? Wasn't he a Nazi? Would he have been the Gauleiter then if Hitler had won? And Mrs. Simpson, what was her role in all of this?
Brilliant. Well, I've got Ephesians to do.
You've got Ephesians to do, you're looking at.
And some Old Testament books. But at the moment we're just slightly winding down, as it were. The last few days of 2013, and we wish you all the very best for 2014.
Yeah, we always wish you all the very best, and everything.
Keep watching, many videos planned for next year, much more outreach work, but above all, keep walking with the Lord.
Blessings to you and your family and your friends and all of the people out there, and I know many of you are recovering from operations, and we do pray for you all, and a lot of you, I know your family are going through chemotherapy and treatment. We do think of you all.
Unsafe friends and family.
Unsafe friends and family.
That's always tough this time of year.
That's always tough, you know, at this time of year, you know, all this consumerism which comes across for one day, and it's all false anyway. But
absolutely.
Thank you as always, and God bless you all from both of us.
Okay, thank you, and Maranatha.
Maranatha from me too. Thank you.